still saying Jasmina just wasn't attracted to Michael. I don't know what you guys are going to have to see before you realize this is not a physical attraction issue with Jasmina. And this is why some of you probably are confused out here, because you keep thinking it's a physical attraction thing and then stuff doesn't make sense to you. That's because you're chewing on the wrong bone. Jasmina is a 14-year-old girl. She is not a mature woman in a relationship. So the way that she sees things are through the eyes of a 14-year-old. This is why you're confused. Did y'all see how Jasmina was darn near sitting in Michael's lap? Did you see her body language? Did you see how she wanted to curl up underneath him? Did you see all that? That's not the body language of a girl who's not attracted to a man. I kept telling you all this all season long, and this reunion has proved it even further. Jasmina is and has always been awkward in relationships, but she speaks from a position as if she knows everything. You ever talk to a person and they're talking all confidently and like they know everything, but then you really start listening to them and you realize they don't even know what they're talking about. Do y'all remember that scene where Jasmina was trying to teach?
She's talking about herself, who doesn't know what she's talking about.
Communicate. She called herself trying to teach Michael how to communicate, and she kept saying, well, you just talk. And we kept saying, well, Jasmina, he is talking. This is the way you communicate. But she thought she was a full-on authority. That's Jasmina. Jasmina talks as if she's a grown 30-year-old woman in a relationship, but she's not. She's really 14. I'm going to go over lots of points where Jasmina is a 14-year-old. First of all, we're going to dial it back to this whole aggressive conversation she called Michael. That ended up being the death of her. Just like I told y'all from the whole season. When she went there on Michael, it was hard for him to come back from that. And that's what we learned. We learned that once she went there on him with that aggressive label on him, he went so far deep in the hole for a whole month. And then she sat up there and was mad because he didn't want to talk to her for a whole month. But she had no idea how big of an impact those words had.
It was him not to talk to her because he was offended that she said that his tone was aggressive. See, this is how we get stuff mixed up. And they're attacking this woman on an unfounded basis.
14-year-old, because you know what? She sat up there and tried to tell us, well, everybody talks about a black man being called aggressive. Well, I'm a black woman. That's why you should have understood it even more, Jasmina, because you're a black woman. You should have understood the implication of calling a black man on national TV aggressive, because you might not have liked the way he talked to you, or you might not have liked the words he was saying. This is from a 14-year-old girl because she's never been in a relationship. She's probably never been in a real argument with a husband or a man in person, because as we know, all her relationships are long distance over the phone. So maybe to her it was aggressive. But the fact that she didn't understand the implication of that and how it would affect that man further tells me she's a 14-year-old, because that's what young teenagers do. They don't know the consequences of their actions. That's what makes them children. That's why you can't try them as adults. That's why you can't punish them like adults. Because up here, they're 14 years old. Even though what they do looks like some grown shit, they're 14. And that's Jasmina. She got mad at that he wasn't attracted to her in the beginning. I told y'all, Michael said, I ain't putting no moves on her. I'm not going to be accused of some things I didn't do. This is why men don't even let little girls sit on their lap. This is why black men have to protect themselves out here. Because listen, when a black man gets falsely accused, they got a lot to protect. And what Michael said was, if she's willing to call me this 1 week in the relationship, and we've only had maybe a couple of arguments at this time, how far is this girl willing to go? And you know what Michael did? He dialed that shit back. Jasmina is a 14-year-old. All this business about her saying I tried after we separated. First of all, when you went to separate apartments, I already knew that was some little girl stuff. Jasmina has a problem being attached to people. Jasmina didn't want to live with Michael, not because of physical attraction. I'm telling you, she's awkward, she's scared, and she's scared and awkward around men. She needed some distance. But then what she thought she was going to do, she thought she was going to pull that same old stuff she normally does and have a phone relationship with her damn husband. I texted you every day. Well, guess what, Jasmina? If I don't pay my cable bill, they going to call me every day too. That don't mean I'm in a relationship with them. Jasmina thought texting Michael every day was a relationship, and that meant she was trying. 14-year-old shit when you sit in your room and you talk on the phone with your boyfriend while your parents is in the other room. That's the 14-year-old stuff. Any grown person, a woman, 30 years old, would know that if your man is in the same city as you, you're going to need to do more than text. But once again, Jasmina ain't even got a driver's license. She can't go nowhere. Talking about Michael only wanted to come see her once. Well, if you had a car and if you had a driver's license, you could have gone to his house. You remember that house, Jasmina, the one you were so mad at that he had 2 roommates? You could have gone there. You could have met up with him. But because you're 14 years old without a driver's license, you sitting around waiting for your 16-year-old boyfriend to come pick you up, a child. Michael was in a relationship with a 14-year-old, and I know he's happy he got the hell out. And then the 14-year-old decides, well, maybe we can be friends. We can be friends first. And Michael said, it don't take that long to be friends. And Jasmina says, well, that's just because you used to go on physical attraction. There go a 14-year-old. Every 30-year-old woman knows that the first attraction to a woman for a man is physical. So what you talking about, Jasmina? You ain't telling us nothing new. Of course, a lot of men's first attraction to a woman is physical. But you would know that if you're a 30-year-old woman that's been out here dating. But if you're 14 years old, you wouldn't know it. Even when they're talking about this big fight they had, and then when Michael finally called her and said, you know what, this ain't working for me. This ain't what I want. I'm not getting anything out of it. And Jasmina was upset on the fight, and she threw the relationship away just that fast. And what Michael was saying was, even in that final moment, she didn't put up any fight for it. Because what Jasmina wants is Jasmina doesn't want to risk anything about herself. She wants Michael to do all the coming to her. She told me when I came in with receipts of all my phone calls, girls, that's not receipts. That is not receipts. Receipts that you texted your husband, that's not no receipt. She said, well, you know what? And even you should have shown me that you wanted me more. Even that man sent up there, I forget the man that hosted it. Horrible, 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 horrible. Telling Michael that he should continue to chase Jasmina when Jasmina doesn't put forth any type of effort because she's a scared little girl, and they think that Michael needs to continually do all the heavy lifting. Absolutely not. I am so happy Michael finally got out of this relationship, and to be honest with you, I thought this is what was going to happen on decision day. I already knew that Jasmina was going to say yes on decision day because she was perfectly fine going along with the relationship with this distance between them, texting for miles away, him coming to her not having to do anything, Michael having to do all the work. That is the relationship that Jasmina is comfortable with. This is why she's always dated men that lived out of state, because Jasmina is afraid of closeness and intimacy. She's afraid of it, and she makes up excuses to keep this big space between her and men. It's what she does. She actually needs to go to therapy. I might be coming off on this video like I'm mad at Jasmina, but I actually feel sorry for Jasmina. But here's the part. Jasmina needs to wake up. She needs to stop thinking it's men, and she needs to go and work through some of these intimacy problems that she has with a therapist, because she's got big problems. She is emotionally immature in relationships. More than emotionally, she is stunted. Her problem with Michael has never been physical attraction. And let me tell you, Jasmina is very, says what she thinks. If Jasmina didn't physically like Michael and she thought Michael was ugly, Jasmina could be Alyssa 2.0. She would have explicitly said, I don't like the way he looks. Jasmina has never ever said that she did not like the way Michael looked. She's never talked about his height or anything. I am telling you, it is, and it has always been an issue right here with Jasmina. It has always been an issue in her head. And that's why she needs to go to therapy, because her problems have nothing to do with physical attraction with Michael. It's all here. And you know what? I'm actually glad these two broke up, because Jasmina would do damage on a man. She would make a man keep thinking it really was him, and the actual problem lies with Jasmina. She's very good at fooling people. She fooled Pastor Cal. She fooled all these experts because she presents well and she speaks as if she really knows what she's talking about. But when you watch the moves she makes, when you watch the things she does, you realize she talks a good game, but her actions don't match. I'm glad these two broke up and they need to go on their separate ways. It's an epic fail, though. It really is. It could have had so much potential in one way, but the other way, she needs a lot of work. Anyway, watch my other videos on the next couple, y'all.
So that's an example of what I was trying to explain in that first video. And I'm sure that this nut is a Christian. And this is the danger. This is the danger of Black women and Black men who think that they know the word of God and they're out here on their experience on what they think right is, to the point that they're missing so much information that she is rooted in the fact that she thinks she's right about this woman. And the facts as they have been presented to us, because when you're looking at these reality TV shows, the editing is very challenging. So you're only getting a slice of what's actually happening. But then for people like her to take the little information that we're able to get and then twist it into their own mental version of what they think is true, to me is stunning. And it's this inability to be able to ascertain information and to process it properly is another reason why Black people are so jacked up in this country. And any other culture who may be able to hear this information, you guys are going to have to be able to really pay attention to what's happening around you. And you're going to have to be able to take that information and put it in order so that you can make good decisions for yourself and your children. I'm sorry for any children that she had and that she raised into this world, because this is the disease that Black people in America have, that they're so caught up in their feelings about something that it doesn't have a factual basis. She thinks that it does. So she referred to the roommates. She referred to, I know she referred to the roommates. I can't think, of anything, right now, because I'm thinking about all the other stuff I got to redo in this video. But let's look at the roommate situation. So I'm going to start with the brother, giving Michael his assessment of where he thinks he is when he announces that he's getting ready to get married. Then I'm going to go to the honeymoon, and then I'm going to go to, I know I'm going to go to the honeymoon. I'm going to go to the dinner that they had when they had the argument. I'm going to go to the roommate situation, and then I'm going to go to them being in their apartment when she has to figure out that this joker hasn't been honest with her about something that was so simple. Actually, they're going to do like a cutback. They're going to do a cutback to the wedding when she actually told him about her roommate situation. And that was the beginning of the conversation, to the point where he doubled down on it when they were in the apartment, and she had to figure out that he not only lived with one female, but he lived with two. He didn't even tell her about the other roommate. So none of this matters to Black women like this woman. Her YouTube channel is married for 10 years. And see, this is the thing. It's like with another couple on here, Olajuwon and Katina. I call him Isaac because that's who he really is. He's Isaac. He's not Olajuwon. And he refers to himself back and forth between Isaac and Olajuwon. That's where I get Isaac from. So I'm not making a name up for him. This is how he refers to himself. But it's like that thing in The Color Purple where, who was it? Suge Avery. When she finally gets married, she goes to her dad and is like, she's showing the ring. And I was married now. I'm a married woman. I'm respectable. When her preacher father disowned her because she went away, from the word of God, and she went out and started singing in juke joints and started being, inappropriate, with her life. So this is the whole pick me, kind of thing. Oh, I got me a husband, so therefore I'm good now. I'm respectable. People can listen to me. I'm elevated in my stature. When that ring really doesn't mean anything if your husband is running around cheating on you, or he's embarrassing you in public, or he's demeaning you, or he's telling people, yeah, I see her work at home and she's not really working. She could actually be cleaning up the house and doing stuff for me and cooking me a meal, because her work really isn't work, but she gets a paycheck for the work that she's doing. So I don't understand how her work isn't work when she's actually getting paid for whatever it is that she's doing. I'm going off on a tangent. I'm going to go ahead and go and get the rest of this information. And I'm going to ask for you guys to be patient, with me while I do this. Okay. We are going here. The weddings are coming. My internet is slow. So please, bear with me. I appreciate you guys.
You okay?
This is when he's telling his sisters that they have found a person for him.
I'm ready for that. What do you think is the...
They found a person for him, and he's getting married in 2 weeks. And they're going to call his brother to tell him, the news.
Bro, I wanted to call you to let you know that you're going to have a sister-in-law in 14 days.
Wow. Wow. Do you know that you're ready for that?
I'm ready for that. What do you think is the main thing that I need to work on when it comes to having a wife?
One is being able to compromise. It's not just what you want, right? It's what do we want?
Yeah.
Have I seen enough of you being experienced with that to that extent? No. So keep that in mind. Without compromise, you're not going to get anywhere.
Okay, so you heard that. So we're going to go, and I'm not even going to go to the honeymoon and stuff, because like I said, they're going to cut away back to some of that when she's in the apartment and she actually sees that he's lied to her about him not having the experience of living with a woman. And he's actually was raised with 4 sisters. So he does have experience with living with women in his family, but he also has experience with living with women that's not in his family. And he didn't bother to tell her that part of his history. I'm going to go out of here, and then we're going to go to the next one. Okay, Beantown Wedding Threat. Is that the one? Is that where I want to go? I think I'm going to go here. Yeah. And I want you guys to listen to the song. And in the song, it talks about compromise. So I really want you to really listen to the song that the producers put into here. This is all stuff that's added after. As context, they're building the story. And when we first heard it, as the season was going, we didn't know it. It actually makes a lot of sense. And so he's accusing her. Oh, wow. Okay. So I'm in the wrong place in this video. I have to go back further. And it's in the Married at First Sight video that I'm looking at. It's 54:14. So I have to go back there because she's going to tell you about the argument that they had. Okay. And then we'll go to the other one that talks about the song with Compromise.
This morning, Michael and I are having breakfast on the balcony, and he says yesterday on the catamaran when we were having a group discussion on whether or not we consummated our marriage, I cut him off as he was explaining we didn't know.
Has anybody consummated them?
I'm just someone that wants to have an emotional connection with somebody first.
Yeah.
He is telling me that I did. And if he said that this happened, then that happened, and that I needed to apologize. I'm not going to apologize if I feel in my heart that I did not do that. I can only apologize for how something has made you feel, and he's not trying to hear it. And I feel in this moment that he's being very aggressive with his words. I don't appreciate his tone. It's disrespectful. It's rude. It's loud. I'm very annoyed. I'm very upset. I'm very hurt. I'm very just... I don't tolerate disrespect at all. Why would I want to be with somebody that doesn't know how to have a civil conversation? That is not how you start off a relationship. So I don't know what's going to happen moving forward. All I know right now is I'm not feeling him. I don't want to be in this marriage. I don't even want to be in the same room with this man, honestly.
Now, keep in mind, this is on the honeymoon. So I'm going to fast forward to the part where they're talking about it over dinner. And he's going to agree that what she's saying to him is not something that that's new to him. Other people have talked to him about this aspect of him before her. And then listen to the song, talk about compromise.
That's a start, right?
Not next to you. I call you. Listen above the noise. But there's not a lot to say when there's no compromise.
We got off to a rocky start this morning, so I'm hoping this dinner will kind of ease some of the tension that we've been having so far, because who doesn't like a romantic dinner by the water? My wife looks beautiful. It should be perfect. Do you have any expectations for me as your husband?
If I'm being honest, I expect you to talk to me respectfully. Because, this morning, you said when we were on the boat and we were talking about, if we had been sexual yet, you said no, and I cut you off. And I was also there. And you felt like I needed to apologize for it. And when I said, well, sorry you felt that way, you said that wasn't an apology.
And I'm going to interrupt here to let you guys know this is day 4. So day 1 was when they got married. So this is day 4. This joker couldn't even control himself and have a decent conversation with her 4 days into meeting her. And this is where they are. This is the kind of conversation they're having on their honeymoon. A time that's supposed to be relaxed, where they are able to come together and start to figure each other out, start to learn each other, and really, move from here to try to finish this 8-week cycle so that they can finish as a couple at the end of it. And I already played for you what happened at the end on the other video to talk about all of this stuff that I'm sharing with you right now.
Because I'm sorry you felt that way isn't really an apology though. It's more of like it is what it is, like type of thing. You know what I mean? That's not apology, Jazz.
I'm not going to apologize. I'm not going to say, oh, I'm sorry I cut you off, because I don't feel I cut you off. But I will say I'm sorry that you feel that way.
So if the tables were turned, and I'm saying this, and I said it, I'm sorry you feel that way, you would be like, okay.
Yes, because people do that.
Right, but you would just let it go and be like, okay, well, it is what it is.
I would have been fine with that.
Okay. We're just different in that regard.
No, we're not different.
No, we're different.
What I said is something that people say if they feel like they didn't do it.
I'm not talking
you want
about
me
people.
to say it with
You're
X, Y, and Z.
You're not married to people.
Okay, well, you want me to apologize to you how you want me to. I'm not going to do that.
Well, I'm not sure what else to say about this because I feel like we're talking in circles, and we're gonna have to agree to disagree on this one.
I don't remember cutting him off. I don't feel like I cut him off.
In my head, when I was there, I thought she cut me off. What are you thinking?
She didn't cut him off. Okay, so he's got all this stuff going on. He woke up that day, the next morning after they had the excursion on the catamaran, talking to her crazy instead of asking her questions and then letting her know, you know, how he felt. He came at her in a manner that was completely inappropriate for the situation as it actually happened. He really could have went to production and he could have went and looked at the film before he even did this. But this is where his mind has gone, and this is the consequences of the direction that he decided to go into. And he's still not taking responsibility, you know, for that. And he didn't take responsibility for it when he was asked on the after show.
I'll say this. Going forward, something happens like this again, and however you say sorry is how it should be accepted. So I accept your apology. Why that face? Why that face? I disagreed with you.
Because you really accept it, or you're just saying
no? I genuinely accept it because
he didn't accept it because he turned around and thought about it after this whole conversation and then decided that he didn't want to talk to her for a whole month. That was another point that nut married at 10 years said in her video. Okay. He decided that he was offended because she said that his tone was aggressive. That, okay, well, now I'm scared to talk to you. Well, he was wrong about the whole argument in the first place. So now his mind is fixated on something that he actually caused and that he still, to this day, is not taking responsibility for.
In your heart, don't believe you did what I'm saying you did. Then okay. We can only really have a real conversation if it happens again and I point it out immediately.
But I think it's your delivery and the aggressiveness to it, and just like basically telling me how I should apologize to someone. That just like threw me off guard, and I was just like,
I do apologize for that. That's something I'm working on. It's an issue that, like, you know, my sisters told me, my friends have told me, past relationships. It's never like intentional. So it is something I'm working on. And that's something I'll make sure to like nip in the butt immediately when we get back to Boston.
And when he got back to Boston, again, he's so into his little feelings, he decided to use that as an excuse to say, oh, well, as a black man, if she's saying I'm being aggressive to her, then that's going to put me, you know, in danger. When he just admitted that he's heard this from other people in his life. And these are the kinds of facts that people like that woman or whatever she is, because I actually don't consider her to be a woman, want to use against Jasmina when this man has admitted that other people have brought this issue to him, and then he still wants to use it as a cudgel against her And he wasted a whole month of being able to build and develop a relationship so that when they got to the end of this process, he could actually begin to develop and have a marriage.
Well, I appreciate you for saying that.
You truly not bothered by it anymore?
No, I didn't say I'm not bothered by it. I just have to believe what you say until I see differently. And that's another conversation.
So he's asking her, oh, you're truly not bothered by it anymore? When he's going to continue to be bothered by it, to the point where he's talking about it and using it as a defense at the reunion. All these months, later, when they were supposed to be moving forward from whatever disagreement or misunderstanding that happened. Okay. So that's another one. And I have a couple of more, I think. Okay, the roommates. So I gotta go find it where they're having a roommate situation. And it's in the same video. So I'm gonna go to an earlier part. And then we're gonna come back. 33. Oh, and this is where I have to show you, because you need to be able to see his face. You need to be able to see his face, and you're going to have to hear when she asked him if he had ever lived with a woman before, and then he's going to say no. And then when she's in the apartment, you're going to see him not have confessed that he's not only living with one woman, he's living with two of them. And I want you to see his face as she begins to realize that he has experience with living with a woman that's not his family member. Okay. Are we here? Which one? 31, 35. 31, 35. Let's go. Again, my internet is slow.
Crystals?
It's not mine.
These little golf things.
Roommate.
How many roommates you have?
2.
I don't see much of you.
Yeah, I feel like I'm never really here. I'm like in and out.
Are you and your roommates friends? You guys just like separate?
We're
just
kind of, yeah, we're friends. Yeah.
Okay. Where's your roommate?
Somewhere.
I didn't know you had a girl roommate.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, secrets. Oh my God. You never told me that.
I know. We haven't really talked about it.
He said, we've never really talked about it. So they're going to show clips from when she started the conversation at the wedding, right? Then she asked him point blank if he had ever lived with a woman before. And he shook his head and then said verbally, no, never. And then he won't even tell her before they get to the apartment, okay, hey, man, I do. I've lived with, a woman. As a matter of fact, I live with 2 women. He doesn't say any of that. She's left to have to figure all of this out at this moment. Okay? So here we go.
Who has the hat on? This is my best friend. He's also my current roommate as well. I've mentioned I have a guy roommate. You would think that would be when you say, oh, you live with the guy? Well, I live with the girl. You just...
I live with the girl.
Oh. Okay. Why you never mentioned it?
To me, this is passive aggressive. I've been passive aggressive, and I know what it looks, smells, and feels like. And this joker is being passive aggressive. I want you to look at his face. That's why I'm putting this on video right now.
I don't know. I didn't hide it from you purposely.
Oh, okay.
No, I swear.
I'm annoyed with Mike. I'm kind of disappointed at this point. This is the first time that I'm hearing about him having a female roommate. And if I didn't see her walk out, when would he have told me that he lives with a woman? And I personally don't have a problem with it, but I'm trying to get over our past conflicts. And I feel like it doesn't help keeping the roommate situation away from me. Okay, I think I've seen it all.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and fast forward to when she's talking to him in the apartment. Okay, so this is 3440. All right, so
Be nice to see see how we mesh living together.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
When we were at your apartment, I don't know if I didn't hear correctly, but I thought you said you had a female roommate.
Did I say a? Like
Yeah.
one?
Mm-hmm.
No, that's not what I meant.
So you have two female roommates?
Yeah. So what did you think that I purposely didn't tell you about that one?
Well, I mean, I didn't know about the first one. If we were just boyfriend and girlfriend and not married, living in the same place, you wouldn't tell me that you live with the opposite sex?
It'll come up when it comes up.
It's come up.
So you notice that he said, oh, well, they only talked about the one roommate when she was standing in his apartment. And the only reason she found out that he had a female roommate is because the female roommate showed up. So I don't know what it was that she saw that let her know that he actually had two female roommates. We weren't privy to that information. But then now he's going to sit there and trying to defend, okay, well, I wasn't trying to hide anything from you, but you weren't trying to confess anything either. And then look at him again, and he can't even look at her in her face while he's talking and doubling down on his lie.
With a woman? I can't remember you saying you did or no.
Never.
So there's been opportunities.
But it wasn't because I didn't want to tell you, like, I think you care.
The thing is, it doesn't bother me that you live with women. I lived with men before. Mm-hmm. I currently live with a man now. It just bothers me that you didn't think that was something important to tell me. And it's not just one, it's two women. Mm-hmm. That's just being in the same space with the opposite sex is serious. So the fact that that didn't come to your mind first is why I'm like.
Okay, I did it. But even if I didn't, what does that mean? Like, what would I be trying to get away with? Like, I currently live with women. I don't think it makes me like I'm trying to hide something.
Well, that's what it seems like when there's been plenty of opportunities to bring it up and you didn't.
I'll agree to a bad judgment call. There were times when I could have told you. I should have told you. But it wasn't because I'm trying to get away with it to get you not to know. You're looking at me like you don't know what the hell I'm saying.
I hear you.
But
what you say just don't make sense.
Okay, so me, I would have left that night. I would have packed up all of my ish, and I would have gotten my dog and walked right out of that apartment that night. There is absolutely no way I am going to let someone I am married to that I don't know, who I asked a clear question, then had the opportunity multiple times to tell me the truth, and left me to have to figure all of that out for myself and think that I'm going to be there for him for 8 weeks trying to make something work. And then he turns around on the reunion and says that they couldn't stand each other. She couldn't stand him, and he couldn't stand himself. And he's still trying to turn this into something that's not her fault. And then you go back and you listen to the beginning of the video, and you have to listen to not just this nutty black woman, but a whole list of them say the same thing about this woman when she was well within her rights not to trust this joker, this ninja. I mean, this joker is like, oh, well, you think I was trying to hide something from you? You weren't trying to be forthright? Even when she asked you a question, and then you say that it didn't come up. So you have talked to her at the reception. You've gone through the honeymoon. You come back from the honeymoon. You lied when she asked you a straightforward question. You didn't confess to her before you got to the apartment. You waited until the roommate showed up to admit that you're actually living with a woman. Then left her to have to figure out that it's not just a woman, but two of them. And then when she asks you about it, you're going to double down and say, oh, you think I was trying to hide something from you? You think I was trying to, what? And then couldn't even look her in her face when you're saying it. And then you want to waste 3 more weeks being mad because she told you that she felt that you were being aggressive when you came at her with the subject that she wasn't even guilty of. And now at the reunion, how many? So they did their marriage for 8 weeks, and then the reunion was at the 5th month of the whole, situation. So you got 2 months, and then at month 5, they're shooting the reunion episode, and he's still talking about, oh, as a black man, you told me I was being aggressive, when he admitted that other people have given him the same level of communication, and then don't want to admit his mess with this whole roommate, situation. And then you actually go back and listen to the video at the beginning of this one, and this is the kind of ish they are spewing onto this woman in an unjustified manner. We do this to each other. We're killing each other in our community. And then we get mad when the police do it. Then we get mad when we're killing each other, literally. I mean, with bullets and knives and choking and domestic violence in our own community. And you've got people who are sitting at home watching this on television, and they're still doing character assassination against her and not holding him responsible for what he has brought to this relationship as to why it did not work. It's toxic. It's toxic. And Black Christians are some of the worst ones. The older the Christian, the worse they are. They are not the Christians that my grandmother, my maternal grandmother, was. My paternal grandmother was more advanced. She was a teacher. She actually went back to school when she had 2 kids. So my dad was one and my aunt was the other one. And then after she got her teacher's certificate, she had my other aunt, and then she had my uncle, who was a menopause baby. She didn't think she could get pregnant, and she was in her 40s, and she was like, oh my goodness, I'm pregnant. And he was a menopause. So his siblings were grown and out of the house when he showed up. So he and my dad never really had that level of brother relationship, because my dad was already grown and almost married, probably, by the time he showed up. I can't remember exactly when my uncle was born. But by the time I'm sure that he was aware that he had a sister-in-law, he was, after 5, toddler, and then whatever it is, young child. And then by the time we moved to Alabama, I was going on 4. My brother was 4, 5, so he's 6. And so my uncle was not quite 10 years old yet. So we all kind of grew up, together in a sense. And so we were actually closer to his brothers and sisters than my dad and his sisters were to him. And so he was really spoiled. And this is the kind of Black woman that people, like the woman that married at 10 years, they have coddled their sons to the point that they don't know how to be men. And even when my dad was born, he was born in 45? So you're talking about a man that grew up in that era, still not knowing how to raise and provide for a family. And then you have my uncle, who came all those years later as a surprise. So he doesn't know how to be a man. So you've got all these kids, like myself, a 70s baby, out there, and we don't have any real guidance. We don't have any real guidance from the women. My mom wasn't able to teach me how to be a woman, and my dad wasn't able to teach me to build a community and build relationships on a foundation of sand. Christianity is a lie. I grew up in a Christian community, and it's still a broke Christian community. And this is the result of what we're looking at. We've got Black women and Black men trying to come together in relationships because it's so hard to find those relationships on our own. We've got to turn to experts to try to help us come together. Then when they do that, this is the result that happens, when this actually could have been a successful opportunity for both of them. But this is the level of sabotage that has happened, that they can't even come together. And you've got people demeaning her and uplifting him and all of his mess. I would have been gone. I really would have. So is this it? Is this the last one? Yeah. So it's exhausting. And I just want to kind of give us, again, as I review this next season, and I really am praying, and I'm going to pray every time before I do this video. I really am going to think about what I've seen before I actually do a video. because I think there are two, I know there at least one black couple. I want to say that there's two, but I really want to be able to focus on the relationships and just kind of do a freeze frame on how we can learn from whatever deficits and miscommunications we're seeing from these shows that will enable us to kind of think twice and give another opportunity so that we all can, no matter your race, be successful in trying to come together in a broken world. We're broken people trying to heal and come together in a broken world. Very, 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 very difficult. So if I missed anything, I will, include it, but I think I got it all on this one. So again, I thank you guys, for your time and your attention. And until the next video.